The forest was quiet that evening. A soft wind moved through the tall silver trees of New Terra Colony, and mist floated like a dream above the ground. Far from the roads, a tired woman named Mara walked alone. Her clothes were torn, her hands shaking, and her eyes filled with pain. In her arms, she carried 2 newborn babies, twins, wrapped in thin fabric. They were cold. They cried weakly, their voices soft against the forest silence. Mara's heart felt like it was breaking. She had walked for hours, deeper and deeper into the woods. Her body was weak, her shoes torn, and her stomach empty for 2 days. But worse than hunger was the fear that someone would come and take the babies away. She reached a place between 2 giant roots of an old tree. The ground here was dry and covered with moss. Mara knelt slowly, tears falling down her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I love you both. I'm doing this because it's the only way." She kissed each baby on the forehead. The boy Leo had quieted, looking at her with big eyes. The girl, Neva, was still crying, her small hands reaching for her mother. Mara placed them gently under the roots, covering them with her scarf. Then she stood, took one last look, and ran. She didn't look back. High above, in a silent black sky cruiser floating just above the trees, a man sat watching. His name was Rylan. He was the richest man on New Terra, a private man who rarely left his home. He owned a tech empire called Nexera Systems, known for building AI machines and deep space comms. But he had no family, no wife, no children. Only his work and his secrets. That evening, Rylan was testing a new scanning drone in the woods when his system flagged something strange, an unknown human life signal near the old forest edge. Curious, he flew his cruiser down quietly to observe. He saw the woman. He saw her pain. He saw her place the babies beneath the tree and flee into the fog. Now the babies were alone, and they were still crying. Rylan opened the cruiser door and stepped out into the mist. The air was cold, and the ground crunched under his boots. He walked slowly toward the tree, scanning the area. No other signals, no danger. He knelt and pulled back the scarf. 2 tiny faces looked up at him. Leo blinked while Neva whimpered. They were very small, too small. And something about their skin seemed different. Not sick, but almost glowing faintly, like there was a soft light under their skin. Rylan frowned. He scanned them with his wrist device. Heartbeat, fast but healthy. Temperature, low. But something strange popped up in the data. Genetic code mismatch. Partial non-human sequence detected. What in the stars? He muttered. He looked up. The woman was gone. The fog had swallowed her. He looked down at the babies again. Something inside him, something long buried, moved. A memory of his little sister who had died young. The last family he ever had. Rylan reached down and picked both children up. "All right," he said softly. "You're coming with me." Back on the cruiser, the I voice greeted him. "Welcome back, Rylan. 2 new biological signatures detected. Infants?" "Yes. Emergency pickup. Keep them warm." "Run full scans." "Understood." The cruiser lifted silently into the sky and disappeared above the trees. At his hidden estate on the edge of New Terra, surrounded by walls of solar glass and eye turrets, Rylan brought the babies inside. His home assistant AI, named Omi, activated medical arms and gently took the children into care. Hours passed. Rylan sat in the command chair, reading the scan results. Half-human ... Half something else, he whispered. I spoke softly. The alien gene markers match no known species. There is no record in the colony database. Keep it that way, Rylan said. No uploads, no cloud access, offline only. Understood. Naming protocol? Rylan thought for a moment. The boy is Leo, the girl is Neva. Names recorded. Vital signs stable. Estimated age, 2 days. growth speed. Above human normal. Raylan stood up and walked to the glass nursery room where the babies now slept peacefully. What were you trying to hide, Mara? He said to himself. And why do I feel like these two are going to change everything? Outside the estate. The night grew deeper and the forest stayed quiet. But far in the distance, back near the edge of the slums, Mara cried in silence behind a broken wall. She had seen the cruiser. She had seen someone take them. The next morning, Raylan sat alone in his study. The walls around him glowed with soft blue light from the computer screens. Outside, the sky over New Terra Colony was cloudy, and light rain touched the glass roof above. But Raylan's mind was not on work. It was on the two babies sleeping in the next room. He had not slept at all. His eyes kept going back to the scan results on the screen. Again and again, he read the same line. Partial non-human genetic structure, unknown origin. Leo and Neva were not normal children. They looked human, but their DNA was different. Something in their blood was oddly alien. Still, they looked peaceful now, safe and warm. Raylan stood and walked to the glass wall of the nursery. The room was designed for comfort and protection. Soft lights, filtered air, and quiet music surrounded the twins. Leo was curled up, his tiny hand glowing faintly, even though there was no light on it. Neva moved slightly in her sleep. A group of small insects had gathered near the window. Somehow, they seemed calm, as if drawn to her presence. Raylan watched them for a long time. He spoke quietly. What are you? Later, the House Iomi gave a full report. Both infants are stable. Growth rate 1.6 times faster than human average. Early signs of mental development, above expected level. Abilities ... still unknown. Raylan leaned back. In his chair, keep everything offline. Not a word to the central network. Confirmed. He rubbed his temples. He was a man of reason, of science. He didn't believe in destiny or fate. But this felt different. These babies were not random. And the woman Mara, why had she abandoned them? He replayed the drone footage. She looked terrified, yes, but not cruel. Her final words to them were full of pain and love. I'm doing this because it's the only way. What was she running from? That evening, Raylan made a decision. He stood before the I terminal. Omi, he said, prepare birth records. Assign guardianship under my name. Keep it off the colony grid. Confirmed. Legal guardianship assigned. Children registered privately. Leo and Neva Raylan. It was done. The richest man on New Terra was now the father of two strange, glowing babies. As days passed, the twins began to grow quickly. By the end of the first week, they looked almost 2 months old. Raylan adjusted the nursery settings to match their needs. They smiled when he entered the room. Leo would often reach toward any screen nearby, and the device would flicker as if responding to his thoughts. Neva, meanwhile, began to hum softly. At night, and small animals, mice, birds, even a fox were seen sitting calmly near the estate walls. Raylan watched everything carefully. He wrote notes. He recorded the patterns. But more than that, he started to feel something else. He started to care. He read to them. He held them when they cried. He walked with them under the garden dome at night. For a man who once believed machines were better than people, this was all new and strange, but it felt right. Meanwhile, in the city below, strange things were being noticed. In a dark control room at Heliox Dynamics, a large tech company known for its defense and genetic research, a woman named Dara Venn watched a monitor. She was cold, sharp, and always focused. She had no interest in kindness, only power. Her team had picked up a faint energy reading near the forest 3 nights ago. At first, it looked like a natural spike. But on closer scan, it matched something else, an old signal from a failed alien project. Her eyes narrowed. This energy ... It shouldn't be here. One of her texts turned to her. It came from outside the city, near the hills. Could be someone testing illegal tech. Or, Dara whispered, someone hiding something. She stood up. Send a probe, quietly. I want a full scan of that zone. Back at the estate, Rylan sat on the balcony with the twins. He had begun to smile more. He didn't care much about the outside world now. He had canceled meetings, paused company operations, and told his few remaining staff to take time off. He didn't explain why. He didn't need to. He looked at Leo, who was now trying to move a small light ball with his hands. It blinked and floated slowly. Rylan smiled. You like tech, don't you? Then he looked at Neva, who was laughing as a bird landed on the railing beside her. It didn't fly away. You're full of surprises, too. But as he held them, something strange appeared on his wrist screen. Alert. Low-level scan detected near perimeter. Source unknown. His face turned serious. He stood and walked quickly inside. Omi, run stealth mode. Block all external signals. Begin perimeter watch. Confirmed. He looked out the window into the dark. Trees beyond the wall. Someone was looking for them, and it wouldn't be long before they came closer. It was early morning at the edge of New Terra Colony. The sun had not yet risen, and the sky was painted in soft purple light. Inside the secure glass estate, Rylan stood in the lab, eyes fixed on the latest test results. He hadn't slept again. The twins, Leo and Neva, were sleeping peacefully in the nursery. But their blood samples told a different story, one that Rylan couldn't ignore any longer. He stared at the glowing lines on the screen. Alien gene strands, active. Cellular behavior, adaptive. Signal patterns, responsive to unknown frequencies. No doubt remained. These children were part alien and not by accident. Omi, Rylan said, compare the genetic markers to our old alien signal project. Cross-check the frequency patterns. Processing, the AI replied. After a pause, it added, match found. Signal frequency aligns with Project Aurora, untranslated alien signal discovered 5 years ago in deep space. The children's biology responds to it. Rylan's jaw tightened. Project Aurora had been a mystery for years. His company had picked up a signal during a deep space probe, but no one could understand it. It was full of strange pulses, impossible codes, and frequencies beyond human science. Now, these children reacted to it. Their cells moved faster when exposed to the signal. Their minds became more alert. They're connected to it, Rylan whispered. They're the key. In the following days, pings became even stranger. Leo began showing signs of energy control. When Rylan placed a small power core near him during a test, the core began to glow brighter. No wires, no touch, just connection. Neva's gifts were softer but no less unusual. In the garden dome, every time she laughed, flowers bloomed faster. Birds flew in from the trees and sat near her as if drawn by some quiet force. Rylan didn't tell anyone. Not even his closest tech partners. These children weren't just different, they were dangerous. If the wrong people found out. But danger was already coming. Far across the city, in a secure Heliox Dynamics facility, Dara Ven stood in front of a hologram. The probe she sent had returned. The scan showed weak but clear signs. An unknown energy field near the hills. Something moving tech signals with no source. Wildlife patterns changing. And most interesting, 2 small heat signatures that did not match human profiles. She leaned closer, eyes sharp. Children, she said. Or something made to look like them. One of her assistants asked, should we report this to the colony authority? Dara gave a cold smile. No, we move quietly. Prepare a second scan probe with deeper range, and send a man to watch the hills. I want eyes near that estate. She turned and looked out the tall window. Whatever he's hiding, we'll have it soon. Back at the estate, Rylan was testing a new signal booster when something strange happened. He activated a soft version of the old Project Aurora frequency, expecting minor reactions. Instead, Leo sat up from his nap and stared at the ceiling, his eyes glowing faint white. The lights flickered. At the same time, Neva, who was in the garden, stood still. Every animal around her stopped moving. The wind itself seemed to pause. Rylan rushed to shut off the signal. Everything returned to normal. The children blinked and looked around as if waking from a dream. Omi's voice came through the lab speakers. Warning. Subject Leo showed sudden surge in electromagnetic field. Subject Neva displayed wide-range biological influence. Recommend further containment. No, Rylan said, shaking his head. No containment. They're not experiments. They're children. But even he felt the weight of what just happened. If the twins could respond to an ancient alien signal, they could become the most powerful beings on New Terra, or the most hunted. Meanwhile, in the slums of the city, Mara sat in a dark room, watching news screens from a dusty wall terminal. No one had spoken about her twins. No alerts, no reports. But her heart told her they were alive. And then, something unusual appeared on the news. A short report about strange weather near the hill estates, strong energy pulses, wild animals moving in groups. She recognized that area. She had gone there when she left the babies. Her heart beat faster. They survived, she whispered. Someone found them. She stood up. She had to go back. The next night, Raylan stood at the edge of the estate walls, looking into the forest. He had added new sensors, hidden drones, and silent alarms. But it didn't make him feel safe. The children had begun speaking short words. Light, sky, and sometimes, call. He didn't know what they meant. Were they hearing something? Was something calling to them? Suddenly, Omi spoke. Motion detected. Perimeter alert. No weapons detected. Human signal. Female. Alone. Rylan turned sharply. He ran to the screen. The face on the camera was dirty, tired, but familiar. Mara. She had come back. The rain had just stopped when Mara stepped through the outer forest wall and into the open field near the glass estate. Her boots were soaked, and her coat clung to her body, heavy with water. But her eyes were filled with fire. She had no weapon. No plan, only a mother's hope. She didn't know who lived in the big glass house, but she had seen the ship. She had seen someone carry her children away the night she left them. And now, she was ready to get them back, even if it cost her everything. Before she could take another step, a soft light flashed above her. A drone hovered in the air, red lights blinking. Then a voice echoed from the trees. Stop, identify yourself. Mara raised her hands. I'm not here to hurt anyone. My name is Mara. I left 2 babies here a few weeks ago. Please, I only want to know if they're alive. There was silence. Then slowly the estate doors opened. Rylan stood near the entrance, his long coat moving slightly in the wind. His face was calm but unreadable. Behind the glass walls, 2 small figures, Leo and Neva, watched with wide eyes. Mara's heart broke when she saw them. They're alive, she whispered. Tears filled her eyes. She stepped forward, but Rylan held up his hand. Stop, I'm their mother, she said quickly. I didn't abandon them because I wanted to. I was scared. I was being hunted. Rylan nodded slowly. I know. I've been studying their DNA. Someone did something to you, didn't they? Mara nodded. Yes, a company called Heliox. They used me for testing. They said they wanted to study the future of human life. I didn't know they were using alien cells. Not until I was already pregnant. She wiped her eyes. When the babies were born, they looked normal. But I could feel it, something was different. I knew Heliox would come for them. So I ran. I tried to hide. But I had no food. No help. I thought leaving them near the forest was safer than keeping them with me. Her voice broke. I've been searching every day, and now I found them. Rylan looked at her closely. She was thin, Weak, but her voice held no lies. He stepped aside. "Come inside." Inside the estate, Mara finally held Leo and Neva again. Both children looked at her with curiosity, then comfort. They remembered her. Their tiny hands touched her face as if to say, "Where were you?" Raylan watched from a distance. Mara turned to him. "Thank you. You saved them." He nodded. "I didn't know what I was doing. I just couldn't walk away." Mara smiled softly. "They chose you too." Before he could reply, the alarm rang again. Omi's voice spoke sharply. "Alert! Unidentified aircraft approaching from the east. Stealth mode detected. Estimated time to contact, 4 minutes." Raylan's face turned hard. "They found us." Up in the sky, a black stealth ship flew quietly through the clouds. Inside, armed Heliox agents prepared for entry. At the front of the craft, Dara Ven stood, wearing a silver control suit. Her eyes were sharp. Her voice cold. "We enter quietly. No fire unless attacked. Retrieve the twins. The man and the woman are non-targets unless they resist." Her tech assistant asked, "Why not just kill them?" Dara smiled darkly. "Because we need the twins alive. And if they fight, we'll test the alien DNA under pressure." Back at the estate, Rylan moved fast. He opened a panel near the wall and unlocked a hidden vault. Inside were 3 silver bands. He gave one to Mara. "Put this on your wrist. It will shield your heat signature." "What are you going to do?" she asked. "I'm going to protect what matters." 2 minutes later, the stealth ship hovered above the trees. Its ramp opened, and 6 black-clad soldiers dropped down using silent gliders. They reached the glass walls, but before they could place charges, the wall lit up with blue energy. Zap. A shockwave knocked 2 of them flat. Rylan activated the estate's defense AI. "Let's see how Heliox likes real technology," he said. From hidden panels, small flying drones shot into the air, firing soft EMP bursts. The soldiers fought back, trying to disable the drones, but Rylan's tech was smarter, faster. Inside, Mara held the twins tightly. Neva hummed softly. The flowers in the room bloomed suddenly, and the walls around them glowed with warm light. Omi's voice came through. Again. Energy surge detected from subject Neva. Unknown protective field forming. Rylan looked back. The children were creating a shield. Even Leo, still only a few weeks old, raised his hand toward the wall, and the glass shimmered with power. They were defending themselves. Outside, the Heliox team leader called for retreat. "Something's wrong. The house is reacting." Dara Ven watched from above and slammed her fist on the control board. "No, not yet." Then her ship's screens went black. Every signal failed. Rylan's AI had sent a virus into their systems. For the first time, Heliox was blind. Minutes later, the field was clear. The invaders were gone. Smoke rose from the forest edge. Inside, Rylan, Mara, and the twins sat quietly in the nursery. No one spoke. Then Mara said softly, "They'll come again." "I know," Rylan replied, "but next time, they won't stop at the walls. I know that too." He looked at the twins, so small, yet already more powerful than anything he'd ever built. "They're not just part alien," he said. "They're the future, and we have to protect them at all costs." Mara nodded. "Then we fight together." The sun was rising slowly over the hills of New Terra. Light moved across the trees, touching the glass walls of Rylan's estate. Inside, the air was still, but hearts were racing. Mara sat on the nursery floor with Leo in her lap and Neva beside her. She had not let go of them since the night before. After weeks of fear and pain, her babies were finally safe in her arms. Tears ran down her face, but this time, they were not tears of fear. They were tears of love. "You've grown so much," she whispered softly. "And you're still alive?" "Because someone cared when I couldn't." Raylan stood by the door, watching the scene quietly. His face was calm, but his thoughts were heavy. He had risked everything by hiding the children. Now Heliox knew they existed. The first attack had failed, but the next one would be bigger, smarter. He couldn't do this alone anymore. He stepped closer and sat down on the floor beside Mara. "I didn't expect this," he said honestly. "I never planned to be part of someone's family." Mara looked at him. "Neither did I. But here we are," Rylan said, glancing at the twins. "And now they're all that matters." Later that day, Rylan walked through his underground lab. Screens showed images of Heliox drones, satellite data, and colony news feeds. He stopped in front of one screen. It showed a photo of Dara Venn, the Heliox CEO. He remembered her from years ago. Smart, ruthless. She had once worked with his company before breaking away to form her own lab. She always wanted to mix technology with biology to create something beyond human. Now she had her eyes on Leo and Neva. Omi, the house AI, spoke suddenly. "New scan detected. Low-range signal, likely from Heliox Scout Unit. They are watching the area again." "They won't give up," Rylan said. "Recommendation: relocate the children or initiate public exposure." Rylan shook his head. "No. Moving them will expose them. And if the public finds out what they are, the government might take them too." He leaned forward. "We need another way, one they won't see coming." Meanwhile, Mara was in the garden dome. Neva was playing near the flowers, and Leo sat on the grass, moving a small light ball with his mind. Mara watched them, amazed. She had always feared what was inside her children. Now she saw beauty in their powers. She picked up a small flower and turned to Neva. "Can you help this grow?" Neva smiled and touched the flower. It bloomed instantly, colors bright and glowing. Mara gasped. "You're special," she said. "Both of you are." Just then, Raylan entered the dome. "We need to talk." They sat together under the dome's tree. "I've been thinking," Raylan said. "If we can't run and we can't hide, we must prepare for a full attack." Mara nodded. "You think they'll come back soon?" "Yes," he said. "And next time they'll come with more than soldiers. They'll bring machines, drones, maybe even a government permit to take the children legally." "Then what do we do?" Mara asked. Rylan opened a panel on his arm screen. "We fight back with the truth." He pressed a button. A small hologram appeared, showing a hidden lab deep inside the Heliox compound. This is where they started the project. He explained. "The one that created Leo and Neva." Mara stared at the image. "You've been tracking them?" "Yes, my AI hacked into an old system. I think if we can get inside that lab and pull the original data, we can expose Heliox. Show the world what they did. Once the public sees the truth, they'll protect the twins." Mara looked at her children. "That's dangerous. You could be arrested." Rylan nodded, "Or worse. But if we don't do this, we'll lose them. I'm willing to take the risk." "I'll come with you," Mara said without hesitation. Rylan was surprised. "Are you sure?" "I was afraid once," she said. "But not anymore. They're my children. I will fight for them." That night, they began preparing. Rylan brought out old stealth suits from his storage vault, lightweight armor with sound blockers and thermal shields. He gave one to Mara. "You'll need this." They trained together in the lab. Rylan showed her how to use silent comms, how to move without being seen, and how to disable security bots. She learned quickly. "You're stronger than you think," Rylan said. Mara smiled. "I had to be. I survived Heliox. I can survive this too." While they trained, Leo and Neva sat quietly in the nursery. The twins held hands. Their eyes glowed faintly as if they felt something. For the first time, they spoke a full sentence, soft but clear. "Something is coming." Omi detected the sound and alerted Rylan. He rushed to the room. "Repeat that." But the twins only looked at him and pointed to the sky. Raylan stepped to the window and looked up. High above, A small light moved too fast, too quiet to be a normal ship. He narrowed his eyes. Heliox is watching again, he said. But this time, they were ready. Dark clouds rolled across the sky above New Terra Colony. The wind grew stronger. Animals in the forest became restless. Inside the glass estate, everything was silent, but everyone inside could feel it. Something was coming. Ryland stood on the top floor, watching the sky. His hand rested on the railing, his other hand on the control screen, attached to his wrist. Any movement? He asked calmly. "OMI," the AI replied. "Multiple aircraft detected. No ID. Speed, high. Formation, attack pattern. Estimated arrival in 4 minutes." He didn't panic. He had prepared for this. Mara entered behind him, wearing her stealth armor. Her face was serious. "Is it Heliox?" Ryland nodded. "Yes, this is not a scout team. It's an invasion." She looked toward the nursery. The kids? Safe for now. But if they break through the outer wall, everything changes. Mara stepped beside him. "Then we stop them, together." Outside the estate, the peaceful forest began to shake. 3 black Heliox ships flew low, moving fast through the trees. They released sharp-winged drones that spread in all directions like metal insects. On board, armored soldiers checked weapons and scanned the building. At the front of the lead ship, Dara Ven stood in her silver battlesuit. Her face was hard and cold. "This time," she said, "no more hiding." Back inside, Raylan activated the estate's full defense system. "Omi," he ordered, "lock down all entry points. Activate sentry bots. Set Phase 1 protocol." Confirmed. Metal shutters dropped over every window. Hidden doors opened, revealing 2 small robot guardians armed with stun weapons. The energy barrier around the property lit up and glowing. "Blue rings." Rylan looked at Mara. "Let's hold them off as long as we can." In the nursery, Leo and Neva sat together on the floor. They weren't crying. They weren't scared. They were listening. A low humming sound filled the air. It didn't come from the building. It came from inside them. Leo looked at his sister. "They're coming," Neva nodded. "We'll protect." Then both stood up and walked to the center of the room. Their hands joined. The air around them shimmered. Something was changing. The first wave of Heliox drones hit the outer wall. Boom! The shock made the building shake. Outside, blue sparks flew into the air as the barrier held. But it wouldn't last forever. Inside the control room, Raylan kept watching. "Phase 2, he said. Omi responded instantly. "Secondary defenses online." From under the garden dome, small flying spheres rose into the air and started firing soft shock pulses at the incoming drones. But then, something new happened. Dara activated her special unit. 5 tall machines dropped from the ships. They were not normal robots. They were human-machine hybrids, strong and fast. With glowing red eyes, they started cutting through the glass walls with plasma tools. "They're breaking through." Mara shouted. Rylan grabbed his pulse rifle. "Then let's meet them." In the hallway, Rylan and Mara waited. The first Heliox hybrid broke through the main door. Before it could lift its weapon, Rylan fired. A sharp burst of blue energy hit its chest. It fell, sparking. 2 more entered from the side. Mara moved fast. She ducked, rolled forward, and slammed a stun rod into the first one's leg. The robot human dropped. She turned and used her shield to blot the second. They were working as a team now, moving with trust and speed. But more were coming. Too many. In the nursery, the twins closed their eyes. Their bodies glowed. The air filled with energy. The lights in the room flickered. Outside the glass, even the trees began to bend toward the house, as if pulled by invisible waves. Io raised his hand. Neva whispered something in a strange language no one had taught her. Suddenly, a powerful shockwave pushed out from the room. It passed through the building. It passed through the forest, and it hit the invading Heliax soldiers like a storm. Rylan was thrown to the ground, but not hurt. He looked up and saw the enemy robots collapsing. Sparks flew from their heads. Their weapons dropped. Outside, even the ships began shaking. The pilots lost control. One of the crafts spun sideways and crashed into the trees. Dara Ven held onto a metal bar as her ship tilted. What is this? What's happening? Her screen flickered. Alien symbols appeared. Then silence. Her ship dropped like a stone into the woods. Inside the estate, the wave faded. The lights returned to normal. Leo and Neva opened their eyes. Their glow was gone, but they were smiling. Mara rushed into the nursery. She dropped to her knees and hugged them tightly. What did you do? Neva answered softly. Stop the bad ones. Rylan entered behind her. He looked at the twins with new understanding. You protected us, he said. Lio nodded. We're not afraid. That night, fires burned in the forest where the Heliax ships had crashed. Colony rescue units reported strange energy readings. The media called it a natural event. But inside the estate, the truth was clear. Twins had used something inside them, something beyond human science. Rylan stood on the balcony with Mara. You see now? He said, they're not just special, they're powerful. Maybe even more powerful than Heliax ever guessed. Mara looked at her children through the glass. They're not weapons, she said. They're hope, Rylan nodded. And we're going to make sure the world knows it. Morning sunlight touched the broken forest near the estate. Smoke still rose from the places where the Heliax ships had crashed the night before. Birds flew quietly over the trees, and the world seemed calm again. But something had changed. Inside the glass estate, Rylan stood at the main console. His eyes were on the screen. Lines of code moved fast. Evidence, data, recordings, all connected to the secret project Heliax had hidden for years. The project that created Leo and Neva. He turned to Omi. His eye, is the file complete? Yes. Full report ready. Includes genetic records, video from the attack, and files recovered from Heliax systems. Good, Rylan said. Send it to every major news channel on New Terra. Anonymous drop. No trace back to us. Sending now. In the nursery, Mara sat with the twins. They were quiet, looking out the window. The glass was still cracked from the fight, but sunlight came through, warm and gentle. She brushed Leo's hair and kissed Neva's forehead. You saved us, she whispered. And now it's our turn to protect you. The door opened. Rylan stepped in, calm but focused. It's done, he said. Mara looked up. You sent the truth? He nodded, all of it. Let the world see who the real enemy is. That afternoon, everything changed. Across New Terra, citizens watched their screens in silence. They saw the files, the secret recordings, the experiments on poor women like Mara, the use of alien DNA, the creation of children who were never meant to survive. They also saw the footage from the night of the attack, soldiers invading a private home, weapons drawn, and two small children standing against it all with glowing hands and brave hearts. Public reaction was fast. People were shocked, angry, and moved. For the first time, the twins were not seen as monsters, but as miracles. Within hours, the Colony Council ordered an investigation into Heliax. All of Dara Ven's assets were frozen. Her labs were locked, and her personal ship was found abandoned in the forest. With no trace of her. She had vanished, but her power was gone. The project was exposed. The world had changed. Back at the estate, reporters and officials came in waves, but Rylan kept them at a distance. The estate stayed guarded, safe. He made one short statement to the press. The twins are not weapons. They are not mistakes. They are proof of something greater, that love and courage matter more than fear and control. Leave them in peace. The message was clear, and the people listened. Later that week, the colony offered full protection to Mara and the children. No more running, no more hiding. They were given legal rights, security, and support. But Rylan had one more idea. In the main hall of his home, he stood before a small group of scientists, doctors, and educators. "I'm starting something new," he told them. "A foundation, the Leo and Neva Initiative. Its mission is simple: protect gifted children, study peaceful use of advanced abilities, and prevent another Heliox from rising." He looked at Mara, who stood nearby, proud and strong. "These children are the future," he said. "And it's time we build a world worthy of them." That night, Raylan walked through the garden dome. The stars were bright above. The air was peaceful. He found the twins sitting by the glowing flowers. Leo was playing with light particles in the air. Neva was humming softly, and small glowing birds danced nearby. Rylan sat beside them. "You two did something amazing," he said. "You reminded me what it means to care, to fight for what's right." Neva looked at him with calm eyes. "We're not alone now." "No," he said with a smile. "You never were." Leo pointed to the sky. "The signal is still there." Rylan looked up. High above, the stars pulsed faintly. One star in particular flickered in a strange rhythm. He nodded. "Yes, the alien signal. It's still calling." Neva touched his hand. "But we're not afraid anymore." As the night deepened, Mara joined them. They sat together, 3 humans and 2 children who were more than human, but full of heart. There was no fear left, only love, peace, and a shared promise to protect each other, to face the future together, to build a world where no child is ever left in the woods again. And far in the sky, the unknown signal pulsed once more, but this time it sounded less like a warning and more like a welcome.